Hi, and welcome to our first Grammar Bite. I'm so excited to finally launch our series with our grammar lessons. Life has calmed down enough to start this, so I hope that you get a lot out of it and that you enjoy it and you find them helpful. Now, we're going to be doing some simple concepts with grammar. We're also going to be doing more complex, and how you use them are up to you, and who you use it with is up to you. Now, we're going to be looking, as I said, at simple concepts with just defining and identifying, let's say, nouns. But then for your olders, you might want to delve into how are nouns being used. So depending upon your child, you might want to concentrate on subjects. You might want to concentrate on predicate nouns. Then for your child who's ready, you can also look at how nouns are being used as direct objects and indirect objects. So we're going to be going and looking at the different parts of speech, how they're used, different terms that we use them for, and so on. So at the end of each of these lessons will be practice exercises with a link for some practice worksheets, and there's going to be one available for your younger kids as well as one available for your older kids. You can sit down your kids in front of the video alone if they're older. You might want to sit with your child when they're younger and review it together. That's up to you. So let's get started and look at our first lesson. Our first lesson has to do with nouns, and we're looking at what a noun is. And two different kinds of nouns. There's concrete nouns, there are abstract nouns. Now, a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. There are two kinds. One is the concrete noun, and those are your persons, places, things that you can touch, and they physically exist. You might be able to hold it in your hand. You might be able to use one of your five senses to know that it exists. Maybe you can't see it, but you can smell it or you can hear it. An abstract noun is different. An abstract noun, we're usually talking about ideas. And these are things that we cannot touch or things that do not exist as an object. And we'll look at the difference between these two and clear that up in a second. Now, as I said, your concrete noun is a person, place, or thing that you can touch, see, hear, taste, or smell, and it physically exists in some form. We can use one or even all of our senses in order to know that it exists. Now, a person is a concrete noun, and that could be a person named Susan. That is a specific person who goes by the name of Susan. We can touch her or see her. A girl, a fireman, a boy, mother, father, neighbor, a president of something. Or it could be a place that we would go to. We might go to the beach. We might go up in the sky because we're in an airplane. Hopefully we're up in the sky using something. Paris is a place that we might go to, a city. Home would be, I want to go home, so you're going to a place that you call home, and also maybe go to your neighborhood or someone else's friend's neighborhood. That's a place you would go to. Thing, you've got music is a thing, and it is a concrete noun because it's something that we can hear, and it's something we call music and we can hear it. It's a concrete noun that exists because we can sense it with one of our five senses. Dog, we can touch it, we can maybe hear it when it barks, and we can say, oh, that's the dog. We can see it. Hopefully we don't smell it. Sometimes we can smell it. Sugar is a thing, and that's something that we can usually see or touch or even taste before we put it into a recipe. Once we put it into a recipe, we may not be able to see it or touch it anymore, but we can usually taste the sweetness of that sugar, and we can say, oh, I taste the sugar that's in there because we know it's physically in there. Scent would be a smell that we can smell. And again, because that odor or that scent or that smell physically exists and we are experiencing it with one of our five senses, we know that it's a concrete noun. A church is a building, a thing that we can see. We might also say go to church, so that might be a place, but that is a concrete noun. And the same thing with a phone. We can hold it in our hand and we know that it physically exists as a phone. So those are all examples of concrete nouns. Let's look at some pictures here. We have a beach, and we said that that is a place that we can go to. We can also say a beach is a thing, and we can identify this beach, because it has these different physical parts to it that we usually call a beach, the sand and the water meeting up with the sand. Here we have a tree, and it's a silhouette of a tree, and then we have the sunset in the background, and those are objects that we can see with our eyes. So we call this a sunset, and we call this thing a tree, and those are concrete nouns. We have a cake, and we have icing, we have candles, we have flames. These are all what we would consider a birthday cake, and these are all things that we can see. Maybe we'll say, oh, this tastes like a cake, and we can taste it. We can touch it. Maybe we can smell the cake and identify it as a birthday cake because it has that kind of vanilla-y sweet smell to it. And then here we have ballerinas or dancers, or when we see these ballerinas together, dancing together, we would call it the ballet. So that would be a thing that we could see. We can see the different parts of the ballet, which would be the ballerinas or the dancers, but when they're all dancing together, we would say that's the ballet. So that would be a thing as well. And these are all concrete nouns. Now the other one is called an abstract noun, and these are usually the ideas. This is the idea part of your definition. They cannot be touched or experienced concretely with the five senses or physically exist as an object. These are ideas. They can be emotions, they can be attributes, characteristics, or a concept. And some examples might be happiness, or beauty, or courage, or intelligence, or retirement. Now, usually older kids are going to be able to grasp this. Younger children, this is still too abstract. Get it? Abstract noun. These are usually too abstract for them to understand at a younger age. But it is important that as they get older, that they can identify these as things in a sentence, because they'll have to understand that those things are being used different ways in a sentence and be able to use them as things when they're talking about them in a sentence, such as happiness, beauty, courage, intelligence, retirement. These are all things, but they're ideas, they're concepts, or they're emotions. So we'll look at some. Now, when we say happiness, we don't actually see the happiness. We see something that indicates happiness. We see a smile on a child's face, or maybe watching the child laughing, or some other indication that someone is happy. Those are the things that we actually see. Those are the things that are physically existing. This happiness is an emotion, and it's abstract. So we can't hold it in our hand, we can't touch it, we can't see it, taste it, smell it, or hear it. What we're seeing is the smile. What we're hearing might be the laughter. The same thing with beauty. That would be some sort of a concept as well, or an idea, where you see the tree that we looked at before, which is our concrete noun. You can see the sunset, which is our concrete noun. And when you put the two of them together like this, or you look at the beautiful colors in the sunset, you might say, oh, that's beauty right there. And that would be a concept or an idea of what beauty is. So there might be different examples of beauty. And depending upon what you're looking at, what concrete nouns you're looking at, that beauty might be pictured in a different way. Also courage. So I have a picture of the Cowardly Lion here, and he gained courage. He wanted to go to the Wizard of Oz, And the wizard couldn't hand him courage because it's an abstract noun. It's an idea. And so if he wanted to go to the Wizard of Oz and ask him for courage, the wizard wouldn't be able to hand it to him in his hand. It was something that would be indicated by the fact that the lion looked brave and he put his shoulders back and he moved forward into the unknown. And those were indications that he was experiencing this characteristic called courage. We don't necessarily see the courage, we just see the lion exhibiting courage. The same thing with the dancers and the ballerinas and the ballet. We can call that entertainment. That's a concept. If we see someone standing on the stage, we're seeing a person standing on the stage either singing or giving a speech or acting. That's what we're seeing, and we would call it entertainment, the concept of entertainment. Now let's do a little practice. So if we say cat as a noun, are we looking at a concrete noun or an abstract noun? This should be pretty easy. So if you said concrete, you're right. A cat would be a physical object that we can see, maybe touch, maybe hear when it's meowing, and that would be a physical concrete noun. Wind, is that concrete or abstract? If you say concrete, then you're right, because again, we may not be able to see it, but we can hear it as it blows by, or we can feel it, and it is physically there. The wind is physically present, and it's blowing near us. Mom, with a capital M. So usually if we have a capital M for mom, we're indicating someone that we call mom. So is that concrete or abstract? And if you say concrete, you're right again, because we're talking about a person. What about Fred? Is that concrete or abstract? Fred would be concrete as well, and that would be a person that we know named Fred, and we could touch him or see him or talk to him, and he physically exists. What about sadness? Is that concrete or abstract? This would be abstract because, again, we can't hold sadness in our hand or touch it or see it or feel it as far as touching it, smelling it, hearing it. But what we do see as sadness or hear as sadness would be hearing someone crying, but we're hearing the crying. If we see someone who's sad or showing or exhibiting sadness, we see their sad face or we see the tears. That's what we see. The concrete is what we see, the tears or the sad face with the downturned lips instead of a smile. That's what we see. That's the concrete. The abstract is the emotion we know as sadness. So we can't physically hold it. We can't physically see something called sadness. We see indications of sadness when we see the tears, but we're seeing tears. Or we're hearing the crying. So sadness is an abstract because it's an emotion. Now here are links, 2 exercises, one for younger kids that has an answer sheet with it, and then another 2 links for the older kids. One is the worksheet and the other one is the answers to it. You'll find those down underneath this video, and you can print those off and use those. And if you have any questions about the difference between abstract or concrete, or questions about why one noun is a concrete versus one is an abstract, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I would love to have a conversation about this. And look for the next Grammar Bite lesson in about a week. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.